ahead and get started. And I guess with that in mind, thank you all for people like Commissioner Gunter and Mayor Braxton and Alex, Commissioner Alex, for attending, and Chris, thank you for coming as well. I appreciate it.
Yeah, that's
You
it.
look like you've been tanning in the Bahamas.
No, I've been catching the red drum and flounder off my dock.
That works too.
Do you ever go out any
On the boat?
with your uncle? No. Is he your father? Maybe I'm getting confused.
Yeah, so I used to fish a lot with my dad, but I've had my own boat for forever.
Okay.
So-
Does he still do that?
No, my dad sold his boat, his commercial fishing license when my mom was in 2017. She was really where she needed to take care of her. And then I had commercial fishing license myself, and I let those go about 3 years ago. I had grouper, snapper, and king mackerel permits and state license to sell, but I got to the point I was not able to do it, and paying the several $1,000s a year to keep them up. It's just, I let them go.
All righty, well, let's go ahead and get started, and welcome to everybody that is here. Appreciate your attendance, and Tom, I appreciate you being here because you're part of the water management task team. And I told Tom earlier, we're all in his business. And we don't need to do that, but we're here to help, kind of like the government. Anyway, I appreciate everyone coming. Rochelle, are there any public comments? Are there any public comments from people in the audience? Okay. Well, then we'll move ahead, and the first thing on the agenda is approval of the agenda. If you have a chance to take a look, are there any updates or modifications that you would like?
I'll make a motion. We approve the agenda as presented.
Okay. Do I have a second?
Okay.
If Peter seconds, very good. Thank you very much. Does anybody have a conflict of interest on any item on this agenda?
No.
All right, very good. I do need to mention that Jade and Bob are both out, and I think Joe is off turkey season, would be my guess. We will miss them. The next item on the agenda is approval of the minutes. And I take it that you have a chance to take a look at that.
Minutes as.
Do I have a second? All in favor, say aye.
Right.
Right. TI coastal update, Chris, can you give us an update?
The red drum are running in my creek. No, seriously, do I need to come up? Because I really don't have much of it. We haven't really had anything happen this month.
Well, just speak up when you do speak, if you will.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, we have not had anything really, that we've made any additional progress on anything. We've been through some weather delays or whatnot, and waiting on doing the quarterly survey. So we're hoping to have that wrapped up by the end of the month, but otherwise, we've been very quiet this month in Topsail Beach.
Okay, I understand from you and also Jamie that y'all have quite a few projects going elsewhere. Is keeping you pretty busy.
Yes, sir. We currently have 4 active dredge projects, 2 in Florida, 2 in North Carolina, 1 in North Carolina, 1 in South Carolina, as well as a number of small projects that are ongoing. So our office is relatively empty. Pretty much everybody's in the field. Our garage looks like a ghost town as far as the boats go. The Palm Beach projects are both wrapping up. They have to wrap up by the 1st of May. And so those crews will be coming back. The Intercoastal Waterway project that we're working on wraps up by the 1st of May as well, due to turtle windows. And so we'll be bringing staff back in and being able to put them back towards some of the engineering work that we need to do for Topsail Beach, looking forward to 2027, 2028.
Okay, and, so, the other thing y'all are kicking off is a bird survey. We talked about that a little bit.
That's correct. The bird surveys that I didn't think about those because we don't do those directly internally. It's actually, they're called, Davy Group now, but it's Land Management Group. Davy Resources bought them out several years ago, and that they go under that name now. They're the ones that do the bird monitoring for us and have ever since the beginning of this project. So they will be doing that. Again, that's not affected by our staffing or what we have going on, because that's a totally separate. The environmental guys are the environmental guys. They'll also do, in the next couple of months, they do the call them the critter counts, but they go through and go through the marsh and do stem counts and how many of the benthic organisms there are. They do all of those each year. That happens when we get into the productive season in May and June, and they do those then. And they'll also do the amaranth counts, later July-ish, August-ish, when they're at their peak season.
All right, there any questions for Chris?
Yeah, I've always been fascinated with the bird, when they different the birds.
Mhm.
What is, two questions. First of all, I know this could be a little dangerous. Oh, don't get up.
Because I know this is grandkids or whatever, so it'd be nice to everybody else.
Thank you, Chris.
When they go out and survey the birds, what exactly are they looking for in terms of, are there more birds, less birds, what kind of birds? And you know, are there like things that they see, it's like a red flag or something like that? I mean,
Answer to all those questions is yes. So what they actually do is they go out and they pick a couple. They do this consistently from different spots on the inlet and the shoals. But they'll basically go set up camp with observers and binoculars, and they will count on that day each one of how many of each of the different species are accessing using the shoals. So they'll count 46 cormorants, so many seagulls, so many piping plovers, so many all the different killdeers, whatever is out there, red knots.
hopefully no red knots.
Yeah, we have not seen any red knot. We have not had a red knot reported here, which is ironic because they pass by here, but they never stop. Anyway, they count all of those. They look at those distributions. They look at them. They do them once a month, or quarterly once a month. Anyway, they go through, and so from year to year at the time frame, and from month to month, they see the usage of the inlet system. They also look specifically for tagged birds, like the Michigan piping plovers that have the band. They have a band on their leg, and it's colored so that it indicates exactly which bird it is. So they record that, and so they can say this particular bird has utilized our habitat in the past and continues to use it. There are X number of banded piping plovers, which supposedly go to Lake Michigan, or we're actually tagged there to Lake Michigan. We've had a number of those. I think last year we had almost a dozen of those Michigan piping plovers that 25 years ago they did not think integrated with the Atlantic piping plover. They thought they were totally separate subspecies. We find them to be utilizing Topsail Inlet. One year, I think there was more banded piping plovers in Topsail Inlet than they thought existed in the world 25 years ago. They were actually here on the same day. Pretty amazing. But yes, they count all of those. Same thing happens with the benthic counts and the plant counts. They go out, and so in the marsh, they have specific areas that they block off that are, X by X meter squares, and they will actually count how many Spartina alterniflora stems are within that meter by meter square. And then they'll go and count how many of the other species, Spartina patens, are in there, and how those species in that particular block each year, whether they're more dense, less dense, whether the stem height, all of those things are recorded and used to analyze the health of it. Likewise, they go through and they take up so much of the sand and so much of the mud and have those under a microscope that all of the benthic fauna, polychaete worms, small cooking clams, everything down to the microscopic level is UNCW winds up, the students wind up doing the counts on those. And so we look at the health of the mud, literally, the mud and the sand that's in the back every year to see how the total sum of the environment is doing, how healthy the food source is for birds and fish, et cetera. All of that's done. It's pretty amazing. You know, if anybody actually takes time to go through the data and sees what it is and looks at the health of the system, it's pretty amazing that how much some things have actually increased over the last 15 years and the health of it. You know, I think at one time we were almost down to no sea beach amaranth. On the
No what?
sea beach amaranth, which is an endangered plant species. It's very transient, so it's not like you get one and it comes back each year. It's not a perennial. Is that the right word? It's not an annual. It's here, and then the seeds get washed and they'll show up over here. They move up and down, so you have to look at kind of the whole numbers within the region. And we were down under 100 of those on the island at one point, and I think a couple of years ago we actually were like several thousand within the town of Topsail Beach because we'd actually gotten enough habitat that we had low sloping overwash beach where the seeds could come up and could take root in the saltier areas that were not as dry. Those are plants that actually begin the mound formation that the seeds eventually take on and start our building reduce. So the health of the whole system has been pretty amazing to watch over the last 15 years. And it's doing well.
Well, that's why I asked the question, because several years ago, you gave us really good, but when, normally what happens is you'll just say, or somebody will say, well, they're gonna do the bird count, or they're getting ready to do the plant count or whatever. And we just don't really understand how it all fits together.
Yeah.
And the bottom line is, since we've started doing our dredging, it's gotten our environment has gotten better and better, right?
Our environment has gotten better from a actual statistical count of not only the number of animals, but the diversity of species has gone up throughout the system that we monitor, which what we monitor closely is basically from Sound Pier down out to the ocean and then the beachfront. All of those species have tended to have an increased numbers of testing and usage, as well as increased number of species in the microscopic level have gone up. Anecdotally, if you like stone crab, the stone crab fishery in Banks Channel has been off the hook for the last 5 to 7 years. Really, the better currents since we opened up the inlet more, the flow through there, if you know where to go, pretty consistently, you can get 4 or 5 a day in a trap. That's been great. We actually have a slightly higher tide range at my house. The tide range has gone up several tenths of a foot just from high to low because we're getting more flushing, and so we have better health and we have more fish and fisheries at the house than we have. I mean, used to it was you go out and I was lucky if I caught a few drum in a day. We caught 30 drum in about 6 hours between Saturday and Sunday, and if flounder had a legal season, we would have had enough to feed the neighborhood off flounder, and that was just sitting on my dock. It wasn't even like moving around. So the fishery back there is very healthy right now. And, I would attribute that to us having a lot more saltwater flow rather than just the runoff from Belvedere.
Thank you very much.
Oh, I will add that Beth Boyce has a place at Serenity Point, and she has observed red knots. And it's just a matter of coincidence if y'all are sampling and they're coming through it. But we have had red knots on the beach, and she showed me some photographs. Yeah, that's not a bad thing, really.
No, I mean, I would be I've always been surprised that we haven't seen them because we do know that they migrate through here. There's no way for them to get from Florida to Delaware without passing through North Carolina unless, it's got to happen. So, it's been very interesting over the years that we haven't seen them, but it's not, we don't have the particular food sources that they really like. So if they are, they're very transient when they come through. They're not hanging around because we don't have, their big thing is horseshoe crab eggs.
Mhm.
And we just don't have those units. It's for whatever reason.
Thank you very much. Any other questions?
Well, I didn't know we were talking about birds today, but since we are, I was not involved in the South End project preservation of that. So I don't have a lot of facts and figures in my head. I don't know that project very well. But I do know that the Audubon Society has erected 50 wooden signs and ropes and bird signs and everything else down there. And is that what we expected? Is that what the people that were involved in the project expected? Because they're going to be asking us, and I just don't know the answer.
I don't know that I mean, I was involved in that project and that was not necessarily my expectation. I know that has occurred over the years in Lee and Hughtap Island.
Yeah.
Where they would mark out with high stakes and signs, the areas where the birds were nesting. Last year, there was a small area that was marked off. They had a hard time keeping the post in the ground because we were getting so much pressure from erosion. This year, we've had so much accretion at the south end that those posts go out 150 yards from where the high tide mark was last year. And so it's quite a bit of an accretion down there. But to answer, the short answer is I had not anticipated that. And it brings up some concerns in terms of aesthetics in my mind. That's just my personal opinion.
I'm gonna throw a little bit of a non-professional personal opinion out here too. With Lee UTAP is a little bit, is a different situation than the preservation through the North Carolina Land Trust and however that's being transferred. Audubon was specific, there was a specific negotiation between the Lee Island Trust that took that over and the Audubon in order for the Audubon to manage that. I don't know that that has happened with the North Carolina Land Trust and their ownership. And so I will say that Audubon can be very aggressive in their quote unquote rights to manage areas. They can push that envelope and they were pushing some of that before at Serenity Point, and I don't believe they had I don't believe that the Oppen Guards necessarily gave them permission to do what they were doing. So it's something that this town and
Who was that again that didn't give them that?
well, I think the Oppen Guard family was the one, I don't remember what all their names were, but they traced back to the Oppen Guard, were the ones on Serenity Point. And I don't believe there was a direct contract between them and Audubon to manage that. Cause I know they were flagging off the back beach, Soundside Beach over there, sometimes putting ropes right in the water line, trying to keep people from docking it there at all. So that is something that the town may wish to talk to the land trust and I know the land trust was converting that property. William, you know much better than I do how that title is going. But probably the town should at least have a direct knowledge of how that's going and what Audubon's actual role is, not perceived role.
Mayor Braxton, you had a comment?
Yeah, just to address John's question. The town, we are aware of the signage and some of the issues on there. I've contacted Tancred Miller, DEQ, that's overseeing this, and the transfer of ownership, of course, it leaves the land trust and it's solely the ownership of the state. And I think the state needs to chime in. And I think that's something I've asked. So, sound pollution and things of that nature, that South End has worked great for what, 50 years or more. And adding signs doesn't do anything but pollute the visual part of it. So let's see how it goes.
Good question.
Sorry, I don't have a better answer on that particular one.
Alrighty, I think now we move on to an update on the water management task team, and I will say that at our last BIS meeting, we had two voted issues, and we voted to request that the Board of Commissioners fund at least one duck bill, to stop some backflow of tidal water. Last night they did vote for that, and there was a budget amendment also, to allow for $10,000 for a duck bill and then the work that goes into installing one. So, on our tour, we took a tour back in January and we identified several areas where a duck bill might be useful. And, so our Board of Commissioners voted for us to or Tom's department to, pursue that and install one as a trial. And so we were, the board acted on that. We also voted on, we had been discussing at length about Rocky Mount and that situation there. So you got two different issues here. One is drainage pipes that are backing up, and the second is tidal flow at Rocky Mount. And we're currently working on a similar but more easily implemented design that could take the place of the one from Bolton and Mink. We asked our Board of Commissioners to continue to pursue that, and and that was one of our voted thing, and I feel like we have support to continue to look at that. Mayor Braxton has been working with some people that are in the stormwater business, and he is pushing on that pretty hard. I went back and reviewed the report by Bolton and Mink. They were, in their last presentation, they were looking for a height on that bulkhead of 5.5 feet. And the highest known elevation tidal was 4.5 feet, but they had designed in a gracious amount for that. So those were two things with the water management task team. And just for, and Mayor Braxton, if I get out off line here, but the Bolton and Mink recommendation had quite a bit of water retention planned for. They were going to mill the entire street, put in water retention devices underneath, and then repave it. And it was going to make it a pretty expensive project. This current design is going to be much more simplistic. It allows for a pond, whether it's encased in, it could be encased in a concrete box, but it's a retention area to catch the water runoff, married to either an earthen or a sheet pile berm that will stop the water from coming in. So that is continuing to be pursued, and it's at our last meeting, we had at least one commissioner that expressed a sense of urgency to let's go ahead and get this thing moving. So we're aware of that. The next meeting on the water management task team, which is a subset of BIS, will be this coming Tuesday at 10 o'clock. And Kyle Brewer is coming from Surf City to share with us some of his experiences on the stormwater management. They've done quite a few projects. So that next meeting will include Mr. Broadhurst and Peter Knowles here, and myself. Mayor Braxton will be here. Tom is leading the effort for Public Works, and Christina attends as well. It's a subset of this team because otherwise every meeting would be public and it would take more time and advertisement. And our mission is to review what we have and come back with some recommendations pretty quickly. So, that pretty well summarizes it. And I did pass around, unfortunately people in the audience don't have this, but I have a copy of our action items for the water management task team. And I guess in this part of the agenda, if there's any additional direction from the larger BIS committee on where this team goes, I'm open to suggestions and recommendations. And that would go for the people in the audience too. If you have any recommendations on how that team should be, or some areas that we should be looking at, we're open to that. But we're going to move ahead until you tell us to stop.
William, do you have a planned location for the duck bill?
I would say that we were looking at Florida Avenue, but in my opinion, that's Tom's department, and I feel like he will have the latitude to decide which one is gonna give us the biggest bang for it. Tom, do you wanna make a comment to that?
If you recall that when you voted at the last meeting, you voted on 1322
Okay.
Carolina. So we can discuss next week if we want to amend that.
I 22 where the existing duckbill is?
I believe it is.
No, that's between the Fussell and the Lee house.
Okay.
Okay.
The other one is that, that we looked at, it's got all the oysters on it.
Mhm.
It's at about,
Is that 1200?
13, yeah, 1200, yeah, that's in the 1200 block, about 1210 or so.
I was getting those two confused. So yeah, we can discuss if we want to, pivot on that. But either way,
I'm just curious. Why would we do it? Why would we do it on one that already had a duckbill? I mean, because we don't even know if that duckbill might be working or it might not be working.
it's not working because it's covered with oysters. So it's open because it wasn't maintained.
You see,
I don't know. I don't almost think about starting with one that's fresh,
I mean, they're both trouble areas. So, I mean, I don't think there's a wrong answer either way. And as a reminder, both of those are going to require us to get the attorney involved to get some sort of easement with the property owner. So we not only can install it, but also have rights to come on and maintain that periodically, however that may be, however often that may be.
I had one person come up to me after the commissioners meeting last night, Dick Burrell. And he mentioned Haywood as an area that's also backing up. Maybe that's something we can go take a look at. Are you familiar with the Haywood situation? Is it a culvert that goes out or?
Not, there is a culvert there. And there's a little, I forget what also, but there is a little culvert there, but we can definitely take a look at that, or I can go up and take a look at it and have pictures and stuff ready for next week's meeting if that would work.
Okay. All right. So, go ahead and copy the action. Go ahead,
Didn't
Peter.
we determine that the culverts are the county's problem? Aren't they supposed to, is it the county that's supposed to come and do the culverts?
You don't
Clean 'em.
pipes, the state, right?
The DOT will only do what is in the right of way. Once the pipe leaves the right of way, it is up to, if it's town property, it's up to the town. If it's on private property, it's up to the homeowner. And we are willing to take on some of these outfalls that are on private property, but we're not going to do anything until we have proper easements in place, because I don't want to spend the money on a duck bill. And then for whatever reason, property owner decide they don't want to let us on the property to maintain it.
And are we going after the authority or whatever from the homeowners?
We just got the approval last night from the board to basically move forward with that. So we're going to start that process.
Any other questions? Comments? So that next meeting is this coming Wednesday at 10 o'clock. Right.
Wednesday or Tuesday?
Tuesday. Okay. Yeah, Tuesday. All righty. Update on the BIS fund, Ms. Connie.
Okay, you should have in front of you your financial statement for your revenue on the beach inlet and sound fund. And to the month of March, we collected 68,340.83. Some of that's our accommodations tax, and then we had some ad valorem taxes, and then the interest was 13,153. Again, we budgeted 70, and we've already exceeded that by 39,000. So we hopefully will have a couple more months to get a couple more interest in there. Just moving right to the expenditure sheet. And that's pretty much the normal expenses. Your professional services and audit would be your legal expense, and probably a small portion for the TI coastal regular monthly stuff. And That's about all in expenditures. We have 6,151.46 there. Now, on your fund balance sheet, it does say you have 9,335,864. We do need to remember that $615,450.29 is VITEX money that was given by the state for the VITEX project. So you actually have 8,720,413.71. You will possibly have a couple, some more expenses, but again, you will have some revenue. So hopefully by the end of June, should be hopefully around probably 9 million. But that is the state money for that Topsail Island VITEX project. And we talked about that earlier this year. That money was in there in the BIS fund.
Connie, is there, in your opinion, is there any risk that the accommodation tax monies that we've got budgeted, that we're gonna fall short of those?
No, sir. I feel like, we still have,
A quarter.
right now, yes, for what we collected in March was actually February's money. And then, so of course, when we collect something, in April, that'll be March's. So we still have April, May, and June. So I feel like we're gonna come very close. I don't see any reason for it to be reduced. We haven't seen any sign of that yet. And the ad valorem taxes, should hopefully be, the amount, we only have 3,510 left there to actually collect what we budgeted.
So Connie, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think at the beginning of the fiscal year, we were right at about 6 million.
Yes, sir, but that's correct.
Okay, so we are gaining toward that goal.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Of 12 million when we get to that project here of 27 million.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Of course, we still have to set a tax rate for this year, so, but, we still should be able to take in the revenue that we need, and there shouldn't be any, our beach project's not going on yet, so we shouldn't see a lot of monies having to come out other than just regular normal stuff, the lobbyists, and then whatever Chris has for his monthly or quarterly surveys. And also, you'll be seeing the money that will come out of the staff development for this trip that y'all get ready to take for Washington will come out of the staff development.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Anybody else? For the Islandwide Beach VITEX project, I guess, Christina, we're going to get going again on that pretty soon.
Yes, so they're planning right now to begin treatments again, the week of April 20th. But they will have, a staff member down here next week, probably the end of next week, to look at the plants and kind of see where they are as far as the leaf, the leafage and, how far they've leafed out. So they have to make sure that they're basically ready to receive the treatment, and that the treatment would be beneficial. So they'll have the representative down here late next week, and they'll let me know if they think they're still ready to continue treatment starting April 20th.
Go ahead.
The total for Topsail Beach portion of that thing is 178,000.
That was just for, well, that was supposed to be for the first year, but to be honest with you, the first year really wasn't very productive because we ran into a lot of issues with, having 3 towns in one project. It was a little bit complicated. So we're actually, Connie and I are in the process now of figuring out the total cost for Topsail Beach, total cost for North South Beach, and the total cost for Surf City. So, we'll need to, basically we did not use the 178,000 that we thought we would be paying out this year, or this current budget year. So, we'll have some new numbers for you guys, probably at our next meeting. And that'll be kind of the end, the wrap up of the grant, the 2-year grant.
The 2-year grant.
Mhm.
And I think, if if I recall correctly, we were about 25% or something like that.
We actually were more than 25%, I think. So, it was about, gosh, well, we had 93 properties and that was the most properties out of all of the sites.
But, the state government hasn't had a budget for the last couple of years. And this was a 2-year project, but we always knew it would take more than 2 years.
Yes.
They always say, be careful what you ask for. Do you want us to continue to ask for more VITEX in the future? I mean, because you've been carrying this burden.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely been a group effort with the 3 towns. We've worked well together. Just kind of trying to get the process together was a little tough. And we did have some miscommunication last year that kind of derailed a lot of the progress.
Mm-hmm.
So I think we kind of have it down now, and I think it's going to be a really good year. The intent was always to apply for additional funding, but that hasn't yet been, decided or voted upon. And I think that would have to kind of come from each board making that decision.
The place where the VITEX money came from as well. There hasn't been any money put in that fund at the state level to apply for the last 3 years, I believe, 2 or 3 years. So
2 years.
the year that you guys
That
got
was
it, that was last year. Any money's been put in that?
Is that the coastal storm damage
Yeah.
mitigation? Fund?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So we'll see.
Okay.
To be determined.
So Christina, we realize it's not been an easy project.
Oh.
And you've kind of had a change in job description along the way. So, thank you.
Thank you. But we all continue to work together pretty well, and poor Connie's got the money to figure out, so I think she's got the hardest job.
I think it's a good one. Thank you very much. On Topsail Island Shoreline Protection Commission, there's a couple of things going on at our recent meetings that have been quite a bit of discussion about oyster leases. The fact that in the county south of us, they have a moratorium. The county north of us, they have a moratorium, and we have an increasing amount of leases. It's become very vocal, very large issue. We are going to, as a commission, meet with Carson Smith, Representative Carson Smith, this week or next week, and ask for a temporary moratorium in our 2 counties. Mayor Braxton will be involved in that conversation with us. We're going to be asking for that, and I have talked to Carrie Allen from the Coastal Federation. She has told me verbally that they wouldn't be opposed to a temporary moratorium. I asked her by email, are you sure that's your position? But so far, that's what she said. We would like to see a temporary moratorium until we can define what the carrying capacity is on oyster leases and what the visual impacts are. So that's about where we are on that. Mayor Braxton, do you have anything to add on that?
No, except for the participation with the state's program.
Yes, that's a really good point. Because the Federation got a grant along with the North Carolina Sea Grant and their study area is Topsail. And they're going to have a listening session is what they call it. This coming Tuesday, April the 14th, between 1 and 3:30 at the Surf City Town Hall. A listening session means that they want to have constructive comments. They don't want to let it devolve into just a session. I'll just say session. And then they'll have some breakouts and they're going to look at it. So this is the beginning of their study to get a sense of the community's thoughts about oyster leases. And so you're invited to attend, but you have to register. And if anybody here is interested, I have a copy of the form where you can go online and register to attend.
Where is it going to be?
Surf City Town Hall. And it will be from 1 to 3:30 this coming Tuesday, April the 14th. So I will be attending for sure, just to see where we are, but, that is an issue that's coming up. So thank you for flagging that, Mayor Braxton.
How do you do this online to sign up for it?
Yes, I have a copy of it right here. If you want to go online and I expect that they'll have fairly good representation from the, private citizens. Sabrina Guy will certainly be there. And I'm sure you'll see a lot of, commercial fishermen too, that will be there representing their interests. So it should be interesting. So that's one of the things. And then, of course, as Oran pointed out, there is a spring legislative tour that will be occurring on the 20th, the 21st, and 22nd. And we'll be having a pre-tour conference call. And John Best will be attending along with myself, Mayor Batts, and Town Manager Brewer, and the two representatives from North Topsail Beach will be Larry Strother, he's an alderman, and Connie, and I have a hard time pronouncing her last name. Plettle. And of course, Chris will be going up as well. He's always a great expert witness to have in the room when we talk about some of our issues. So, those are the two things with the Topsail Island Shoreline Protection Commission. Going forward. Any questions? Comments? Righty. I think that's pretty well got what I had on the agenda. Did anybody have something that they would like to add or any questions or comments? Any public comment? Do I have any motions to entertain?
Don't make me do that. I'll make the motion.
Just a good idea.
What is that motion, Mr. Broadhurst?
Come on. To adjourn.
Okay, do we have a second? All in favor, say aye. Thank you all for attending.
So I had to make all the motions.
Sorry.
Yeah, that's right.
You just got phone.